Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. Good to be seen. I've got a little bit of a revelation today. It's a revelation to me, anyway. It's not probably going to come as a huge shock or maybe even a surprise to some of you, many of you, most of you. But a light bulb went off over my head the other day. Excuse me. On the subject of my overall condition, many aspects of which I have at least alluded to over time. And it finally dawned on me, the light bulb over my head finally went off, that what ties pretty much all of my most pronounced symptoms together is that I am experiencing the effects of long COVID. I think I've mentioned in the past that I never got tested for it, or at least never got tested when I thought I actually had it, which was a month or two before I became eligible for the vaccine, which I want to say was in February, March of 2020, 2021. I guess it's 2021. The pandemic became a thing in 2020, and 2021 is when the vaccines became available. So, anyway, among the symptoms that I have been experiencing over time, some of which have become more pronounced, especially recently, include memory issues. And that's the one that really has bothered me the most and is becoming the most acute. It's almost literally like I cannot remember things from one minute to the next, one moment to the next. And mainly in terms of short-term memory. My long-term memory doesn't seem to be affected nearly as much, but it's really a frustrating experience and has become a lot more frustrating just in the last few months. I want to say just since maybe February or March or so of this year. I began to become aware of some of these symptoms that have become associated with long COVID probably in, I'm going to say, the summer of 2021, some of which dissipated and led me to believe that I was healing from the effects of long COVID. And really, it's only been, like I said, within the past few months since January or February or March time frame, that the memory issues really started to become a lot more pronounced. Lack of energy has been fairly consistent almost from that summer of 2021 time frame. Not really having a physical sensation of fatigue the way that you do when you've exerted yourself, like at the gym or otherwise, where you sort of have a rubbery feeling in your muscles or just an actual sensation of being fatigued. It really never has been like that for me, but it's been more of a just absence of energy, physical energy, mental energy, physical stamina, mental stamina. It's just become a feature of my landscape. And I'm not going to lie, it's really discouraging to think that the rest of my life is going to be like this. There doesn't seem to be anything currently in the way of treatment. Understanding among the scientific community is improving, but that's, I think, about the best that can be said about it. And so it's been kind of a long-term adjustment process for me to come to grips with the reality of my condition. Things that I don't do anymore, things that I don't expect to be doing much of anymore, not nearly as much as I used to, especially in terms of photography of the railroad variety and landscape variety. Even driving takes a lot more out of me than it ever did before. That was something that I just enjoyed intrinsically, just driving around and seeing different places and different scenery, etc. And really not very much of that is sometimes more than I can tolerate, in a healthy sort of way. And so I have to be a lot more conscious now of what I devote my energy to on any given day, because I have so little of it. So it has really slowed me down. It has basically led me to conclude that I'm no longer going to be fully employed. I just do not have the ability to work an 8 hour a day kind of job 5 days a week. I just don't have it in me. And that's got some fairly pronounced consequences as well. I'm largely riding on my laurels, so to speak, in a lot of ways. There are still some things I can do, and I do them, but it's clear to me that the days of working all day long, every day, 5 days a week, are over for me. And, that's a disappointment, to be sure. It's discouraging, other things like that. So, one of the other more dramatic, pronounced effects it has had on me is where it comes to my personal hygiene. You've seen some of the effects of that just in my videos. I'm not going to over elaborate on that because I'm ashamed of it. I'm embarrassed by it, but it's my reality, and that's just all there is to that. I suspect that there are people out there that are going to be critical of me because of the way I'm living currently, and that's their deal. I've accomplished enough over the entire course of my life to know for a fact that I'm not a lazy person, but I'm sure I look lazy these days to the casual observer and even to the not so casual observer. Which brings to mind one of the things that I did mean to mention in this video is, in my experience, it really does seem like COVID has a way of finding the chink in your armor. Depression, whatever the opposite of depression is, there's an example right there of my mind just not working as well as it used to, which even at best was a frustration to me at times. I'm going to say not hyperactivity. Well, you know what it is. But at any rate, it seems like that has gotten worse for sure, and more on the depression side of it. Manic, that's the term I was trying to come up with. I wish it had settled in on the manic side, but that's just not what my experience has been. It really has more attacked on the depression side, which has kind of become a permanent feature. At least that's what it feels like to me. It's a permanent condition now. Some other things have deteriorated, maybe slightly improved. So it's still a little bit of a gray area, but the overall trend I'm certain of at this point, and I'm still adjusting to it and hoping for the best, hoping for divine healing. That's something that's just a part of my deal. I've experienced it. I've been in the blast radius of it, so to speak, in proximity to it, and just beyond that in terms of just what I believe and what I have satisfied myself is true, that it is a real thing. It's somewhat inconsistent even for the most successful practitioners, which is a source of frustration even to the best of practitioners, and I am a long way from being one of them. Still have some hope that the sum total of my life will end up being a beacon that draws people to Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God. Doesn't really seem much like it to me at this point. I think it'd be pretty easy for me to make a very solid case that my life is pretty much a complete failure at this point in all the ways that are generally the most important to people: family, career, finances, spiritual well-being, etc. I'm not going to belabor that. That just also is what it is. I've had my ups and downs in life when it comes to my state of mind on cycles that have varying periodicity to them. So I know how much it can change because I know how much it has changed. So we'll just see. But that's where I am at the moment, at this juncture. And because of the light bulb effect, wanted to get it recorded and uploaded, and for my mental well-being, just in terms of sharing my truth with one other person, as the saying goes. In this case, it's the audience of these videos. And so getting kind of back to the original premise of this channel, which is to lead by example, to encourage people to do the same thing, and also the Twitter account that goes along with it, a place for people to share their truth, to get it off of their chest, get it out of their head for the intrinsic benefits of doing so, and as anonymously as they care to, or as whatever the opposite of anonymous is, being completely transparent and candid about it, which has value as well. So anyway, that's it for this one, and see you next time.